Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today's episode takes us deeper into the heart-wrenching, yet beautifully tender love story between Lee Ho-ica, a single mother with quiet strength, and Officer Hong, a man bound by duty, torn between love and familial loyalty. A love that grew in silence. In earlier episodes, we witnessed how a gentle, unwavering love began to bloom. Despite Sa's burdens as a single mother, Hong didn't flinch. He didn't just fall in love with her, he embraced her son as his own. There were no sweeping declarations, no grand romantic gestures, just quiet acts of devotion. Picking her son up from school, waiting at the gate, walking them home under the dusk light. In a world that often judges quickly, Hong's love moved slowly, deeply, and sincerely. But fate, as it often does, interrupted. Tragedy strikes, and so does loyalty. While on duty, Hong was gravely injured in a mission to apprehend a dangerous criminal group. The news shattered Ca. She rushed to the hospital, never leaving his side. She fed him, cleaned his wounds, whispered stories to keep his spirit alive. Her care became his strength. Against the odds, Hong recovered. Just when their story felt like it was turning toward peace, another force returned, Hong's mother. The mother's ultimatum. Madame La, a woman of iron traditions, had always imagined her son marrying a well-educated, childless woman from a respectable family. When she learned Hong was still seeing Ca, a divorcee with a child, her fury erupted. She launched an emotional campaign to separate them, even threatening, "Continue this, and you'll lose your mother." Hong, torn between filial duty and the woman who had given him hope, grew distant. Though his love remained, his hands grew colder, his visits less frequent. The invisible wall of shame and pressure rose between them. Enter Tony, a new chapter or a distraction. Just then, a man from Sa's past appeared, Tony. A successful businessman, once a classmate, Tony had re-entered her life after Ca and her son rescued him from a roadside accident. Grateful and intrigued, he returned with sincerity, gifts, and the promise of a stable future. His family approved. His intentions were clear. And so Ca stood at a crossroads. One man represented love earned through shared pain. The other offered comfort and acceptance without struggle. Enter Tony, a new chapter or a distraction. Just then, a man from Sa's past appeared, Tony. A successful businessman, once a classmate, Tony had re-entered her life after Ca and her son rescued him from a roadside accident. Grateful and intrigued, he returned with sincerity, gifts, and the promise of a stable future. His family approved. His intentions were clear. And so Ca stood at a crossroads. One man represented love earned through shared pain. The other offered comfort and acceptance without struggle. A storm at the door. Madame La had arrived. Her eyes were fire. Her voice, sharper than steel. I told you, CA. Who do you think you are, clinging to my son like this? A woman with a child and a broken past, you're unworthy. CA didn't speak. She wrapped her arms around her frightened son, her eyes steady despite the ache. Hung stepped between them. That's enough, Mom. She's the reason I survived my darkest days. She's kind, loving. Not everyone with a past is broken. It was the first time he had ever raised his voice to his mother. And it stunned her. Love rejected. But not forgotten. Despite Hung's defense, CA was shaken. Days later, when he returned, she met him with a soft but firm wall. Please. Don't come anymore. Let's just be friends. I don't want to be a burden. Hung's voice was gentle. You're not a burden. You're the one I chose. Please, don't shut me out. She didn't speak, but nodded. Just a faint nod, but it was enough. Enough to try again. Enough to let love breathe again. The final blow, or a turning point, but Madame La had not given up. One evening, suspicious of Hung's long absences, she followed. She caught them on his motorbike, wind in their hair, laughter in the air. She stepped into the road, screaming. Stop right there. The confrontation was brutal. Again, Hung stood firm. If you must be angry at me. But don't hurt the woman I love anymore. In that moment, CA realized she was loved. Fiercely, openly, against all odds, and then came Tony. Again, just as the dust settled, Tony returned. CA welcomed him politely. He admired her strength, her grace, her resilience. His words were respectful, not romantic. If you've ever felt alone, he said, remember, there are people willing to stand by your side. What comes next? As the sun set, Lee Hoica sat on the porch, her son asleep in her lap, her heart torn in two. Hung had chosen her. Tony had seen her. One offered history. The other, peace. Now, it's Saw's turn to choose.